Hey, it's Jay. I hope you guys are enjoying the Loki review. If you haven't checked it out yet, I just uploaded it like maybe 15 minutes ago. But it's time I tell you guys what this big project is. Now, I know I've told some, close friends of mine what this big project is. I've been working really hard on it. That's why normal videos have been kind of iced for right now. But this is a lot, and I've done a lot of research. I've taken a lot of hours out of my day just to get this, done. And I'm just about to wrap up, but I feel that now is the time to inform everybody why I've taken a hiatus to work on this big project that I've been teasing on my Instagram. So basically I'm going to be doing a timeline. And that timeline is, of course, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's no secret that I'm a big fan of that universe on this channel, given the amount of content that I do for it. But I've seen so many other people do timelines, and I just thought I'd take a stab at it. This is purely for fun. I in no way claim that this is the definitive way this is the definitive way things go down. And in fact, I discourage watching it in this way. Number one, because it's absolutely insanity, because it's a scene for scene one. But especially for like newcomers, I don't try this. Just watch them in release order for newcomers. This is complete insanity from beginning to end. So I wanted to do this video to, number one, announce what I'm doing, but number two, go over some rules, I guess you can call it, so that the video can just be the video. There doesn't have to be a bunch of this fluff at the beginning to explain what the video is and, how it's going to work. So, like I said, this is going to be a scene-for-scene timeline. And I'm going to be creating a Google Docs that I'm going to update as shows, like when Loki finishes, when Black Widow comes out, so on and so forth. I'm going to keep updating as they come out with more concrete dates as I look and analyze it more and more and more. So that's how you're going to be able to see that. How I'm breaking down the scenes, there are a couple caveats. For one, if there's like a flashback and it's not that long or anything like that, I'm not including it. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just I'm not including it because it'd be silly to stop a film for like 5 seconds just to watch a flashback and then go back to the film you were watching. So an example is like the Massacre of the Valkyries from Thor Ragnarok. Sure, it's a beautiful looking scene. I just feel that it's not worth the jump back. So things like that, like a lot of Carol's flashbacks from Captain Marvel won't be included, things like that. Just because, again, I just don't want to disjoint any of the major scenes or anything like that. Number two, of course there are things that are spoken that have happened, eons ago, that happened prior to the events that I start with. But again, I'm sticking to things that have concrete footage and, enough depth to them to include in the timeline. So another example from Thor Ragnarok, when Thor's telling the story about the snake, Loki being the snake. Sorry, I forgot to turn my computer off, so you're going to see the screen change like 5,000 times. When Loki turns into the snake and stabs Thor, sure, it's hilarious, but there's no footage for it, so it's not going to be included in the timeline. Third, the tie-in comics will be included. Now, there's two different types of comics when you talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe comics. There's the tie-in and the inspired comics. The inspired comics just focus on what the characters could be doing in between these movies, and they're not as canon as, say, the tie-in comics. The tie-in comics, however, they directly reference the movies, they take place during the movies, and it explains why some characters might not be in certain scenarios. It explains what happens after some movies, ties up a lot of loose ends. So I decided that they will be included, and instead of time codes, they're just going to be page numbers and panel numbers, should that be the case. So tie-in, yes. Inspired, no. I'm going to designate on the timeline in the Google Doc that I create when you should watch a scene in the timeline sequence and when you should also watch it in the movie and the show. Of the best example I can give is in WandaVision episode 8, when they're going through Wanda's past. Sure, watch those scenes in the timeline placement, but if you don't watch it in the main reality when you're watching it in 2023, it's going to feel very disjointed. So I just recommend watching it there and then going back to it then. If you are crazy enough to even take this on. And the final rule is that Avengers Endgame I have decided to keep just as one movie. I'm not breaking up any of the time heist, even though there are some time heist scenes like in Avengers or in 2014 before the events of Guardians of the Galaxy that suggest otherwise. I just felt that that film needs to be kept fully together, so it's not going to be split up at all, even with some added features to certain scenes that we have seen already. And yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other rules, I guess you could say, to this timeline. No, I don't think there is, but I hope you guys are just as excited as me. I'm literally, the second I upload this, about to finish the timeline, and then I'm going to write the script, record it, edit it, and get it out to you guys. What I can promise is probably next week, late next week, early the week after. That's like the time frame I'm giving myself, because I think editing is going to be a little complicated because I got to collect all the pages for the comics, I got to find all the movie footage that I need, and obviously splice it all together. So I hope you're just as excited as me, and just letting you know, this stops at Falcon and Winter Soldier. So Loki, Black Widow, they will not be included on it. But again, I will be adding their events to the timeline once I get some concrete dates and see if they fit into the rules that I have stated here. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I've been wanting to do a timeline, and I've seen other people like Geek Critique has a great timeline. They do everything. They literally show you the movies, the TV shows, all the TV shows I should say, and where they would place. The MCU Wiki, which helped me out a lot with pinpointing some dates that maybe I was unsure of. I kind of cross-referenced them a bit. Their timeline is fucking insanity. They do a scene-for-scene timeline with not just the movies, but with everything. The comics, the inspired comics, the Marvel shows, including Netflix, Freeform, Hulu, the movies, the Twitter, WHIH Newsfront things, the shorts. Every little piece of media that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has produced, they put in this timeline. They even include real-world events to make it even more in-depth. So it's a really interesting read. So if you wanted to see how some of the Netflix shows and things they fit in, go check it out. Which I hate to say it, but only Disney Plus shows are going to be in this timeline. So the Netflix shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, all of them, they're not going to be included, just so this doesn't become like a 90-year video. While you can argue some canonicity between these guys, I've just taken the decision to not include them, again, so that the timeline doesn't feel so cluttered. But again, watch Geek Critique's video and the MCU Wiki's timeline. I'm going to link them both in the description of this video if you want to see some real in-depth looks with those shows included in it. I personally just won't be including them. However, anything Marvel Studios produced, so WHIH Newsfront, the one-shots, the movies, the Disney Plus shows, and the tie-in comics are all going to make up this timeline. I'm super, super excited for you guys to see it. Again, probably end of next week, early the week after, and I cannot wait to get started on recording and editing and everything like that. I'm just finishing up the script right now, and then I'm going to start recording very soon and editing, because remember, I have a job outside of this, and other things that I have to do, so it takes up time. But I'm excited to get working on it, and I hope you guys are just as excited as me to see where I think things fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yeah, once it releases, if you want to try this for yourself, good luck. It is very, very complicated, but make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. All this stuff really helps me out, and I hope you're super excited for my Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline, shot for shot, coming very, very soon. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap.